And when did this country start to fall? When did it decay? When it lost its faith and identity? And I believe the church are partly responsible for that. So I don't think people leaving church, I think the church is partly responsible for that. They've been a joke. But I think that something huge has been happening at our events and as a witness, and I wanted to try and tell that story. And for me, it all happened in a quick 12-month period. We went from, and we managed, remember, I led the English Defence League, so I know I've organised 60, 80, possibly 100 mass rallies. I've learned a lot in those rallies. I've learned the mistakes I've made, the mistakes we've made, how to work with the police in these events. We've come a long way. We cannot allow face coverings. I believe that just look up Special Demonstration Squad. Anyone can do this. The government have groups that go into protests and purposely inflict violence and cause violence. That may sound far-fetched to you. Just Google it. Yeah, they come into a peaceful demonstration, they kick off and instigate problems. Only takes 4 or 5 men wearing a mask to kick something off with the police, and then everyone kicks off with the police. And then the media stand there waiting to take pictures, and then they portray it to the whole country, thugs and hooligans. So we enforced a strict rule on our demonstrations. Do not come if you think you're covering your face. Because see, if you turn up and cover your face, we're going to take those face coverings off. You'll be ejected by us, not by the police. So, and that has enabled us to hold these beautiful festivals in central London. And I'm sorry to the Scottish, to the Welsh, to the Northern Irish. I'm sorry each time it's been in London. It's going to be in London again this time. Maybe we'll look at other locations after that. But it's important. It's symbolic. There's a battle for free speech. We've been under attack. There's a war going on in our country.
And before I go back to specific prison experiences and stories, I suppose a question a lot of people will be thinking, and I know the crowd at these Unite the Kingdom rallies.
It's surprising, isn't it?
Because I've been there. It's very diverse. But people will be thinking to themselves, well, for someone that's so divisive and racist, why do you want to unite the kingdom?
Yeah, and people see through that bullshit now. They totally see through that bullshit. They come along.
You're actually pushing for unity.
Unifying the nation and unifying everyone, because they don't want us unified, which is why they label us and they put us in all these different little groups. You're black, you're white, you're gay, you're this, you have to... No, we all have to come together. We all have to come together because it's all of our freedoms that are at risk here as they continue to flood our nation.
And when you say we all need to come together, who are you including in the we?
I mean, everybody who loves Britain. Everyone, because then I have, obviously, there's certain groups that hate me, yeah? And they say I'm a race traitor. I don't believe you have to, I don't know an only white community because I'm from Luton Town. So most people I love are not white. I think that, and I've had this argument with some of these FNATs. So I've got mates that are black because they go on about IQ. I think, well, they've all got far better jobs than you. I've got lads that have served in the Royal Marines who have done far more for the country than you, far more to defend our nation than you. So I'm up for unifying everyone, which is what we've managed to do. Sikhs, Hindus, blacks, whites, Asians, browns, everyone coming under one banner. And do you know what? Because all of those different communities love Britain and love our flag. And it's unfair. And it's unfair for them to be tarnished as not integrating or assimilating when they totally have. My mum was an Irish immigrant. So what's the difference between me, when my mum was an Irish immigrant, and someone whose parents come from another country? What's the difference? Like so to the other parties that say, well, they can be part of Britain, but they can't. And all these people have embraced Britain and love it. And you see them at our demonstrations. I don't see any difference. So we are uniting Britain.
So what you're saying is the only people that aren't welcome to the Unite the Kingdom demonstrations are hateful people and divisive people.
Yeah, and wankers like Keir Starmer.
How about that?
And Labour Party supporters. I'm only joking. The Labour Party are destroying our country as well. So I think that it's a feeling of, if we can bring everyone together and send a message to our government, which is what we started to do. And not just that, I said that if you shift the culture, you shift the politics. Look how far the Overton window has now shifted. When we have our next event, the people who are going to talk at this next event would never have spoke on our stages 24 months ago. Something big's happening. I've got X back up and giving back my YouTuber channel, which is, since I walked out of jail, my YouTube's live again.
That's another thing. If you're just coming in now, you can follow Tommy on YouTube, and I know there's going to be great work coming out there. Yeah. Let me go back to prison.
Yep.
You told me a horrendous story when I picked you up from jail. You was in the back of the car. You were being filmed, and you told me a story that took place in Wood Hill Jail about a beheading, and it shocked me to the core. Just so people get an understanding of the place that you was sort of rotting in for 7 months. Tell me about that beheading story.
So there was a prisoner who was beheaded on the yard, a Ukrainian prisoner. They took his head off.
And who's they?
Some Muslim prisoners. They butchered him, and then they used bed sheets. They took bed sheets out. That's how long they had him. So what I didn't realise, which after speaking to the staff, is that they just contain it. So say four prisoners get another prisoner in the cell. The prison staff don't go in and try and help him. They just shut the door. They just leave it. They can't risk it. So if it's contained, it's contained. So when these 3 prisoners got this other prisoner out on the yard, this is in a high security unit. This is in the HSE, like the maximum security unit. You know where you visited me. So in Wood Hill Prison, you've got the normal prison bit, and then you have a high security unit, which you go to, which is where like Charles Bronson was, and these sorts of prisoners. And in that high security unit, some prisoners, to get them out of their cell, to open their door and take them to a shower, they have to have 6 or 8 fully trained in full riot gear prison officers just to walk in from there to there. Do you know they told me a story? There was one prisoner who he was that high risk and that dangerous that when they were releasing him from prison, up until the point of his release, they had to get full riot gear on. So they had to walk this man down in full riot gear because they couldn't risk not being fully protected because he would hurt them and try and kill them. And then they walked him out the prison gate to free him straight into the general population of
Civilization.
Civilization. Do you know Usman Khan? Usman Khan was the so-called reformed Muslim. I think the anniversary was last week, who left prison as a reformed Muslim. Well, the prison officers I spoke to in there said that every week they can update on the prison system about prisoners. And they're updating saying this man is not reformed. He's still a jihadi. Yeah? This man is still a total radical. But then because it suited their bill to, we've got someone, we've reformed him, he's great through Prevent. And he was out of jail, I think 3 days was he? And he spoke at some reformist event where he was talking about how he's been saved from radicalisation. He pulls out a knife and murders people.
Yeah, the course was Learning Together. It's a Cambridge University course. I had Steve Gallant on recently, who was the one who took the terrorist down, Usman Khan.
So one of the other prison officers who took... Oh, was he a prisoner?
Yes.
Oh, he's a prisoner.
He was serving life for murder, and then he was on day release, go into that rehabilitation course.
The prison officer who was with him now works at Wood Hill.
Yeah.
The prison officer who was with him now works at Wood Hill. So, because the prison officer won a Medal of Bravery as well.
Yeah, they both won a Gallantry Award.
Yeah. So he was at Wood Hill. He was one of the officers when I was at Wood Hill with him. Remember, because I interviewed everyone. I literally interviewed everyone.
Did they realise that you was interrogating them?
I think a lot of them were happy to get off their chest. A lot of them would. My door would open and they'd say, "Tommy, you're going to have to tell people when you get out of here. People need to know what it's like."